I've had quite a few folks asking about how we built our new Rapid Start Sales for Dynamics 365 app to be compliant for use with a $5 Power Apps license on a Dynamics 365 sales environment. It seemed like an excellent opportunity to share the knowledge I have gained about it that many may not know or understand. You may have even created such an app already for some of your users, but it is likely not compliant with Microsoft Dynamics 365 licensing. Hopefully you are concerned about compliance, but regardless, technical enforcement is on the horizon. In this video, I will walk through all of the steps necessary to create a usable sales app on your existing Dynamics 365 sales data that provides value for specific users and is 100% compliant with Power Apps licensing. The primary goal is to create a more focused app for your users who do not need the advanced features of Microsoft Dynamics 365 apps, but a side benefit is the potentially significantly lower cost for those users. We've created just such an app with our Rapid Start Sales for Dynamics 365 app, which you can use right now from AppSource. Here's a QR code, and a link is in the YouTube notes. As much as I would prefer you just to buy ours, I will not be using it for this tutorial. Instead, I will walk you through creating a basic sales app from scratch that lives within the Power Apps compliance bubble and that you could build yourself. This tutorial does not require code skills, but it is still quite a bit of work. In the end, you will have to decide if it is worth your time and effort. I will be working in a new Dynamics 365 sales environment with the role of system administrator. This can be generated by creating a new Dataverse environment at admin.powerplatform.com and electing to add the Dynamics 365 Sales Enterprise apps to it. To expand on this, when you create a new environment with a Dataverse database, that environment will be provisioned with the standard Dataverse schema. If you elect to include Dynamics 365 Sales Enterprise or other first-party apps, the environment will be provisioned with additional schemas based on your selections. Once provisioned, those additional schemas cannot be removed from that environment, and your customizations will live above those. The existence of, for example, the Enterprise Sales schema in an environment does not mean you are obligated to use Dynamics Sales licenses. Even using specific unique components brought in by that schema may not trigger the requirement for a Dynamics 365 sales license. So what will trigger a requirement for a Dynamics 365 sales license, aside from using Microsoft's first-party apps? For one, using any of the so-called restricted tables in any way, directly or indirectly. Here's a QR code, and a link is in the YouTube notes to the Restricted Tables page. You may notice that quite a few tables brought in with the sales schema are not on the restricted table list. Therefore, you might assume these are available for your Power App with a Power Apps license, and you would be partially correct. However, there is no category called Unrestricted Table. There are the core tables that are part of a vanilla Dataverse environment, the explicitly restricted tables brought in with a first-party schema, and any other tables brought in with that schema, which, while available for your use, are not exactly unrestricted. So, what can you do? For a table not part of the core and not on the restricted list, like lead or opportunity for example, you can perform create, read, update, and delete actions on that table from a Power App with a Power Apps license. However, before you get too excited, you cannot use any of Microsoft's components surrounding that table to accomplish those actions without a Dynamics 365 sales license. For example, you cannot use the first-party forms, views, processes, plugins, roles, web resources, or ribbon commands. You also cannot use first-party IP features like Dynamics 365 Sales Insights, forecasting, playbooks, predictive scoring, Sales Accelerator, swarming, etc. Furthermore, you cannot use first-party IP controls like Sales Accelerator, Pipeline View, Forecasting Grid, Forecast Configuration, Who Knows Whom widget, Up Next widget, Relationship Analytics widget, Predictive Lead and Opportunity Scoring widgets, etc. What you can use is the raw table itself. So the first question you must answer is whether any of your users can perform their sales roles without these components. So if all of this sounds like traversing a labyrinth fraught with compliance thorns, you would be hearing me correctly. Microsoft has invested enormous money and resources in developing IP for its first-party apps, and it is entirely fair that they safeguard its use. Conversely, if you have users who are not using this IP, it is also entirely fair that you not have to pay the premium for those users. So let's see how we navigate this labyrinth. Depending on how much customization you have done, this app landing page should look familiar. I recommend you create a copy of your production environment first and work in that environment. If you're starting from scratch, you may want to add the sample data so you can see what's going on. I have already done this. I have also updated this environment to the 2024 Release Wave 1, which is unnecessary to accomplish our goals. We will begin our journey in the Maker portal at make.powerapps.com. Start by selecting the development environment you created, then select Solutions in the sidebar, then New Solution in the ribbon, fill in the information for your app, and click New Publisher. In the dialog that opens, create your publisher information and click Save. Then select the new publisher you created and click Create. The solution will open, but first let's go back to the solutions list for one more thing. From the list, select your solution and click Set Preferred Solution in the top ribbon. This will ensure that any customizations that you make will be captured automatically into this solution. Then click on the solution name to return to the Solutions page. Let's start by adding the items that our basic sales app will need by clicking Add Existing in the ribbon and Table from the drop-down that opens. We will select the following tables: Account, Contact, Lead, and Opportunity, and click Next. The Select Objects dialog will open. If we just click Add right now, we will get these 4 tables without any components. However, since Account and Contact are core Dataverse tables, we can add some components for those. Start by clicking on the Select Objects link under Accounts. All of the items you see under each tab already exist in the environment. We do not need to recreate them to use them as they are, so we will only add the items that we plan to modify in some way. In this case, we will add the Active Accounts view from the Views tab and the Account Main Form from the Forms tab, and click Add. We will do the same for the contacts, including the Active Contacts view and Contact Main Form. When finished, your screen should look like this: one view and one form selected for account and contacts, and nothing else. Do not tick the boxes to include all objects or table metadata. Just click Add. Now your solution contains these components. We'll start with Account by expanding Tables in the sidebar and clicking on Account and Forms. Here we see the form we just added, and we'll click on it to open it. You need to keep aware that other solutions and apps may be using these components also, so the first thing we will want to do to not impact others is to click Save a Copy. Give it a unique name and save. After saving, I will go back and see my new form. To keep things clean and prevent mistakes, I'll click the 3 dots next to the original form, select Remove from the drop-down, and then Remove from this solution. Then I'll click the new form I created to reopen it. Even though this is a core table, the sales schema has added some elements that will need to be removed, hidden, or modified, like recent opportunities, recent cases, and active entitlement subgrids on the right. Since this will be a sales app, I will remove cases and entitlement sections immediately by clicking on them and clicking Delete in the ribbon. I will also delete the Card View section on the top right of the Summary tab, as this is sales-related IP. Clicking on the timeline control in the Properties panel, you will see several active activity types in the Properties pane that will need to be disabled on our form by unticking the Enable box for each. These include Campaign Activity, Case Resolution, Opportunity Close, Order Close, Quote Close, Conversation, Session, Customer Voice Alert, Customer Voice Survey Invite, and Customer Voice Survey Response, all of which are tied to first-party IP. Clicking on the Recent Opportunities subgrid, I can see that it is using the first-party Recent Opportunities view and Top Customers chart. These will need to be replaced, which I will do later. I will also remove the Assets and Locations tab for our Sales app by clicking the tab and selecting Delete. The Related tab brings in a ton of sales IP, so I will hide this tab from this form. Next, I will click on Form Properties, Events, and OnLoad and delete the two first-party functions. Then I will save and publish my form and click the Back button. Again, in the sidebar, I will expand Tables and Account and click on Views. Then I will click on the Active Accounts view. I will save a copy again to avoid interfering with other users of this view. Afterward, I will click the Back button and remove the default Active Accounts view. I will repeat these steps for the Contact form and view. Before tackling Lead and Opportunity, we must create our own business processes for these. From the main page of your solution, click New in the ribbon, then navigate to Automation, Process, Business Process Flow, and select it. In the new dialog that opens, give your process a name, select Lead from the table drop-down, and click Create. This will open the Business Process Designer, where you can design your process for your app users. For now, I will just add one data step so it can activate, and then I will activate it and close the tab. Repeat these steps for Opportunity. When you are done, your solution should look like this. Now we are ready to work on Leads and Opportunities, starting with Leads. Again, in the sidebar, expand Tables and Leads and click Forms. Click to add a new main form. This will create a form using the default main form from the sales application. We will give it a name and save and publish. We now have our own form, but it includes first-party IP components that must be removed, hidden, or disabled. You may notice that the first-party business process has been removed. We'll first hide the Related tab by clicking it and selecting Hide in the ribbon. Next, we'll click on the timeline and disable the same activity types as before with Accounts and Contacts. This will do for now. We have some other steps we'll need to take before we can go further. Repeat the above steps to create a new form for Opportunity, and you should see this. There are quite a few things to remove or disable on the Opportunity form, starting with the Up Next in the center of the Summary tab and the competitors on the right side. In addition, we will hide the tabs for Products and Related and delete the tab for Quotes. We will also open the form properties and delete the OnLoad handler. Lastly, for now, we will open the timeline and disable the activity types as before, then save and publish and go back to our solution. Our app will require a unique security role for a Power Apps licensed user to prevent their access to restricted first-party IP. We'll start by creating a new role and giving it a name. I'm calling it the Acme Sales App role. Here's a QR code, and a link is in the YouTube notes to screenshots of the necessary security selections. You can match your role to this. After creating our custom security role, we can associate it with our components. Back at the Solution page, let's navigate to our Account form and select Form Properties. Let's tick Specific Security Roles and our custom role, and then save and publish. Repeat this for each of our Contact, Lead, and Opportunity forms. Okay, now we'll start on our app itself. From your Solutions main page, select New, then App, and Model-Driven App. Give your app a name and click Create. I'm calling this Acme Sales App. Click Add Page, then Dataverse Table, and Next. Select Existing Table, then tick Account, Contact, Lead, and Opportunity from the list, and then Add. Our new basic sales app will open, and we'll go ahead and save and publish. Now let's change the default account view. In the right sidebar, untick Include All Views, click the three dots next to our custom view, click Add, then remove the default view from the app, then save and publish. We will do the same thing for the form. Start by selecting Accounts Form from the navigation, untick Include All Forms, add our form, and remove the default form, then save and publish. Repeat these steps for contacts, leads, and opportunities. Once we've completed these steps, let's return to our solution page and click Publish All Customizations to catch anything missed. Then select Apps in the sidebar, the three dots next to our app, and click Play to see how we're doing. I can see my tables in the side navigation, and my proper view is displayed. Let's open an account record. Looking at the account form, I still have to change the view for opportunities and hide a first-party IP ribbon command. Now we'll jump to contacts. The contacts view is correct, but clicking on one shows some first-party IP in the ribbon, which I will need to hide. I will click on a contact to see the form. Same as account, I need to change the opportunity view and hide a ribbon button. Let's look at leads. Again, clicking on a lead shows a few more ribbon commands that need to be hidden. I'll open a lead. Looking at the lead form, I can see the correct process and form, but I see more ribbon buttons that need to be hidden. So lastly, let's look at opportunities. As expected, clicking on an opportunity in the view reveals more ribbon buttons to be hidden. I'll open an opportunity form. I see the correct process and form as well as some buttons to hide. So we'll go back to our solution in the Maker Studio. There are a few things left to do for our super basic sales Power App so that I can utilize Power Apps licensing. First, we need to hide the ribbons we identified earlier from the user. Second, we need to create our own workflows for some functionality from the first-party app that we cannot use. But first, let's take care of those subgrids on account and contact. Let's reopen the account form first. I'm not too happy about the small subgrid for opportunities on the summary page. Instead, I'll create a new tab and a full width subgrid. Looking at my form, I'll click Component in the ribbon, then One Column tab. It adds a new tab, which I will rename Opportunities. Then I'll select Subgrid from the component list. In the flyout, I will tick Related Records, pick Opportunities, and My View. Then Done. I'll rename the subgrid, delete the other subgrid from the Summary tab, and then save and publish. I will do the same for the contact form. Okay, the most complicated part is hiding the ribbon buttons that access first-party IP. Before we start, I will remind you once again that we've already built this app, which you can just install and use, but for those of you who are determined to save that $5 per user, let's continue. For this step, we will need to install the Ribbon Workbench or use it from the XRM Toolbox. Microsoft's commanding capabilities are not specific enough yet. Search for and download the Ribbon Workbench and install it in your environment. We will need a teeny bit of JavaScript to make this work. You can get that using this QR code, or a link is in the YouTube notes. Open it in a text editor and change the role name to match exactly the one you created earlier, then save it. Back to our solution, click New, More, and Web Resource. Navigate to the file we created and select it in the Upload a File box. Call it Hide Ribbon Buttons, and add a description if you like, then save. Even our small solution is too big for the Ribbon Workbench to open, so we'll need to create a temporary one. Go back to Solutions in the sidebar and click New Solution. Give it any name, pick your publisher, and then Create. Your new solution will open. Click Add Existing and Table. Select the same 4 tables as before, account, contact, lead, and opportunity, then click Next. This time we will not add anything, just click Add. Okay, now we have to go to the Classic Explorer for the next part. To get to it, click the gear icon in the top right, then Advanced Settings. Then click the Settings drop-down and Solutions. You will see the Ribbon Workbench Launch button. Yes, it is old, but it works. Click the button, select the temporary solution we created, and click OK. When this opens, it will default to the first table, Account. Click to add a display rule. Now click Add Step, then Custom Rule. Then type the function name Hide Ribbon Buttons, and select the web resource you created earlier. Now with our display rule in place, we can apply it to those buttons. At the top, you will see 3 horizontal bars representing ribbons for the account components. Starting in the Home ribbon, we will find each button that needs to be hidden. For example, Sequences. Right-click and select Customize Command. Below, you will click on that command and add our Enable rule. Repeat this for all buttons that we've identified earlier. Then repeat all of this for each of the 4 tables in the drop-down, and once you've added the Enable rule to all of the buttons, click the Publish button at the top. When publishing is complete, you can close this browser window. Okay, now let's go back to our solutions and publish all customizations. Then we'll do one more thing to our app by selecting Apps in the sidebar, then select the 3 dots next to our app and click Play. From the app, I will click the App Switcher at the top, then the 3 dots for my app, and select Manage Roles. Then I will select my custom role and click Save. Now, in order to test this app, we will need to use a different user account with only our custom security role. For that, I'll go back to the Power Platform Admin Center at admin.powerplatform.com, select the correct environment, and then the link for users. I will select my test user, then Manage Security Roles. On the panel that opens, I will tick my custom security role and make sure no other roles are assigned, then save. I will copy this part of the URL from the browser address bar of my open app. Then I will open a private browser, paste a copied URL, and use my test user's credentials. I can see my app directly loaded as it is the only one the users with this security role have access to. I can also see that the first-party IP buttons are gone. Let's look at the Opportunities subgrid on its own tab. To me, this looks much better. We're almost done now. We have to deal with some functionality tied to the buttons we removed, like Qualify Lead and marking opportunities as won or lost. In our Rapid Start Sales for Dynamics 365 app, we created a custom button control for this, which is well beyond the scope of this tutorial. Another way to deal with this is by using the status reason field and adding a status reason of qualified on the lead status reason field, then using Power Automate or a classic workflow triggered on change of that status reason to qualified, create an account, contact, and opportunity records. A similar approach could be used for opportunities to mark won or lost. I'll let you sort out those details. So that is it. Of course, you can customize this app like any others, including custom tables, charts, dashboards, etc., provided you avoid breaking the compliance bubble we have built around it. To use your new app with the $5 Power Apps per app plan, here's a QR code, and a link to a page that walks you through it is also in the YouTube notes. Using the app with a $20 Power Apps Premium license is a little easier. You can assign a license to a user at admin.microsoft.com, and then in admin.powerplatform.com, you can assign them your custom role. I will leave you with a quick look at our Rapid Start Sales for Dynamics 365 app, the choice of over 100,000 users. We not only did the above for you, but we did much more to create our compliant app. Not only did we spend a great deal of time on our UI, but we also created several controls of our own and baked user training right into our app. So for $5 per user, you can skip all of this work and have a much better app. Here's a QR code, and a link to information about our app is also in the YouTube notes. I hope, if nothing else, you've learned something about building apps in this video, and I thank you for your time.